Good morning, and to join me today on a little bit of an adventure here in my home county of Berkshire, England, United Kingdom. It is the 2nd of January 2026. And we are going to find a really interesting church in a tiny, tiny little hamlet called Wolverton. Wolverton is near Tadley. Tadley is a much bigger village, actually in Hampshire. So where I'm heading right now, I'm not entirely sure if it's Berkshire or Hampshire, to be honest with you, but very much on the borders of the two counties. And one of the things I want to do this year is to make more videos like this, where we go and explore this area. And so where we are, we're based in Berkshire. We've got Hampshire nearby, we have Oxfordshire, Surrey over that way, Wiltshire in that direction, all of which are very interesting counties. They have a lot of history, they have a lot of photographic opportunities, lots of interesting old historic buildings, and that's the kind of thing that I want to explore this year and make videos about those topics. Exploring the photographic potential, and also the sounds of these places as well, digging into their history and getting to know what has made these places like what they are today. There's always different layers to unfold and explore. So we know that in Silchester, which is not far from here, the Romans occupied Silchester for a number of years, probably around about 300 and something years that they occupied that area, which is a long old time. So they're there from the 4 AD, and we know that they had vacated Silchester in the year 400. So they were there for a long time, and we don't really know what happened immediately after the Romans leaving Silchester. Not only Silchester, they pretty much pulled out of England as a whole. London was much the same around that time, and not much is really known what happened in that time period. So we might learn a bit more about that in the coming years. We also know there's a lot of Anglo-Saxon history around these areas. There's also Viking history as well, because we know that the Vikings did travel up the River Thames from the coast, and they did go some of the way up the River Kennet, which we will get to see in these videos in the months ahead. And we know that because Victorian archaeologists have found artifacts that were left by the Vikings. So if you go to Reading Museum, there's a whole section there on the Vikings. And the Vikings, we know through history that they set up a camp in somewhere around Reading, and that I was reading the other day, that's one of the roads in Reading called Vaston Road is so called because Vaston is a Viking fortification, from what I was reading about the Vikings. There's somewhere in an area where they had a camp, and there's enough evidence to support that as being the case. So very interesting. Anyway, today we're going to somewhere that has nothing to do with Vikings, nothing to do with the Romans, but I think it's going to be interesting because it's so bright today, the sun is really strong. It's a place that we went to last year, probably sort of the winter of last year, when it was a very grey day, it was really cold, it was really murky. But today it's bright and sunny, so quite the contrast. We're going to go and have a little look at this church in the village of Wolverton, and see what we can find there. Because I think a lot of the content I want to put together this year is going to be a lot of discovery, a lot of exploration, and then we will fill in the pieces from there. Because I'm not a historian, I'm just an enthusiast really. I'm simply interested in the history of the area, and we will talk a little bit more as we approach our destination for today. But it's got a fantastic feature, the glass roof, a bit like the Teslas do. So it's a great place to mount my camera with this suction cup to the ceiling of the car, but also it means you get really good light as well coming in through the roof. So this video should be nicely illuminated. A huge amount of old Roman roads around this area, because with Silchester being over to in that direction, we had Roman roads leading from there to London, Bath, which I think was Aquasulius or something. I think it was a Roman name. Aquasulius, I can't remember. Bombay Sapphire's down that way. That's well worth going to, on a totally different topic. Once again, that is fed by a river. Yeah, a lot of Roman roads, and I suspect this road might have followed the course of a Roman road. It's got the hallmarks of it. We're not far now from our destination. Quite often I go to a location to photograph it, and the light is really bad. It's overcast, it's gloomy, and there's not a lot you can do about it. So I often make a note to go back to certain places to try again. And at this time of year, is one of the best times of year for photography, because the light is at that lower angle. I've just come past a sign to announce that we're now on the North Wessex Downs. So Wessex is an area, a county, I suppose, that doesn't exist anymore, like Sussex, Essex, and there have been Wessex some hundreds of years ago. But this area is still often referred to as the Wessex Downs. So there's a lot of interesting places around here to explore. We have Kingsclear, we have a Sandham. There's the Sandham Memorial Chapel, a National Trust property that's well worth going to have a look at because of its Stanley Spencer paintings in there. We will go and have a look at that at some point in time, but it's not the destination for today. I find this area is an absolutely gorgeous part of the world, and not far from here is one of the highest points in the area as well. I'm just trying to remember the name of the place, but can't place it. I'll put the details in the bottom of the screen of the video. I think it's Gallows Down. So called because they used to have gallows there, where highwaymen would be tried and hung, hence the name Gallows Down. So it's quite some history behind that. But that's the thing, going back to what I was saying earlier on, there's so many layers here that you can peel away to reveal some very interesting stories. So right now I'm watching out for my turning because it's not far up here, about a mile along this road. So turning on the right. So this church, and I'll tell you more about it once we get there, is on an estate that once belonged to a family, but I believe that family has obviously people have died, passed away, and I think the owner doesn't live there anymore, and it's now owned by a venue company. I think it's now used like sort of business conferences and stuff like that. Like a lot of these houses are nowadays. They're long gone are the days of the old aristocracy. But we will discover a little bit more about the history of this location in due course. Welcome to St. Catherine's Church on the Wolverton estate. And as I was saying earlier on, we came here on a bleak day last year and the light was terrible. And today it's gorgeous. I'm fascinated by this bricked up doorway here. Not quite sure why that is. Always look up, they say. Always go to see some great things in the sky. Look at that lovely blue sky today. Gorgeous. There's a footpath over here that's begging to be explored at some point. It's always interesting to explore who might have been buried here, and there's some interesting graves we came across last time that I'd love to do some research into and find out what the story is behind those gravestones. It's an interesting architecture. It's quite different to a lot of the other places around here. So walking down to this gateway, there's an interesting memorial stone on the wall that's dedicated to T.S. Holer, MC, of Wolverton Park, was responsible for the restoration of this church wall in 1989. T.S. Holer, and I believe was the owner of the estate at the time. Let's bring her back around to get a really good look at the church. It's a beauty. I really do love it. It's beautiful. And it is bitterly cold at his day, I have to say. There's a pathway that leads into the estate. I don't know if it's a public right of way or what it is, I'm not sure. But it's a beautiful place. It's looking across the rolling landscape out towards the A339 in the distance. Now this must be the house that I could see from the other road, I'm guessing. And the farm shop is down there somewhere that we saw. So T.S. Holer, Hohler, let's keep that one in mind. There's that T.S. I can't remember. I did look it up. I can't remember. Is it Terence Holer? I don't know. I'm guessing. It's such an unusual church. I've only got some very old gravestones here. And again, that light picking up the grass is just incredible. I don't know whether I can get inside. I suspect that I can't. And but I can remember when we came up here before, we spotted some gravestones that of military connections. Sidney Frank Butler. They are quite well maintained, aren't they? There's something up here we saw. It might be this one here, maybe. Maybe this one. I don't know. Here we are. So, loving memory, Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Alexander, member of the USO Royal Artillery, 2004. There's another one up there, Desmond Courtenay. So there we go. Now on the very sunny side of the church, can't see a thing in silhouette on this side. Oh, it's really, really cold. Going back into the warm car. And from here, you're going to find an interesting route back home. And we shall see where it takes us. See you back at the car. Back in the warmth of the car, putting my heated stuff back on. So from here, we're going to go back to home. Going to see which way it's going to take me. It wants to take me back along the 339. No, I don't want to do that. I want to go in. Which way do I want to go? It's going to zoom out. I suppose it's actually taking me. I want to go up far to Tadley, Aldermaston, Kingsclear. We got Newbury. Well, I'm going to go straight ahead and see where we end up. We're going to head towards, in the general direction of Aldermaston. And Aldermaston is an interesting place because it used to be a World War II airbase up until the Cold War, when it of course became the AWE, the Advanced Weapons Establishment, for the design and construction of nuclear weapons. It's a very secretive place, and we'll never really know exactly what happens there. We have a rough idea of what they do there, but in the war years, it was an airbase, and the modern day establishment is set up along what was the runway. And during World War II, a lot of work was carried out there in connection with Spitfires and other things. And that's something that I will certainly have a look into in the future. Which loops back again to Reading and Vaston Road, the road that is so called after the Viking history, was later the place where the fuselages for Spitfires were made, and just down the road they made the wings. That all came about after the factory in Southampton was bombed by the Nazis, and it was then decided to distribute the factories around the country instead, so that the wings would be built in one town, fuselages in another place, and so on, so that it would make it much harder for the Nazis, if they were to attack again, to do much damage to the British war effort at the time. So there we go. See you at St Catherine's, a really interesting church. So we're going to head up towards Tadley, and see where we end up. And we've got a route now on the map, which looks like it's quite a good one. Oh, so pheasants crossing the road. Oh, still going down there. I missed my turning. Axmansford. That's right. There's another way to go coming up. Sometimes I feel compelled to turn back and go the way recommended, but now I'm just going up here instead. It's a really nice area around here. I really like it. It's lots of woodlands and it's a lovely old bridge. I've got a feeling I've been down here before. This might go up past a pub called the Wellington. Let's see if it does. See if I'm right. There was another place I was going to go and check out today. Alright. Let's take me down some really small lanes. Let's hope there's no one coming towards me, no more bin men. Again, this road looks familiar. Oh. You're stuck in that ditch. Oh, what was I saying? Yeah, there's a church I want to go and find in a place called, I think it's called Great Shefford, or is it just Shefford? Which is kind of more on the Berkshire, Oxfordshire borders, and that looks like a really interesting one because it's right on a river. I was doing some research last night about churches and rivers, and where the two sort of nestle side by side, and there's some interesting ones that I want to go and find at some point in time. So it certainly helps to have a bit of a plan, and I've got a bit of a plan. A bit of a plan being the opposite of words, really. And not really having a massive idea of where I'm heading, but a vague one at least. We're going to carry on up here. Little Aldershot Lane, interesting. I've definitely been down here before. I remember Little Aldershot Lane from before. Not far, actually, from another interesting church. I'm deciding whether to go and have another look at it, another look at it or not. I'm in Brimton Common. Should suggest them somewhere else. Kingsclear, Newbury. Okay. Right, you are. I see where I am. Some options around here. I see where I am, because up that way is Brimton. There's a church up there that I've yet to explore. But we will be going through Aldermaston fairly shortly. I'm going to see which way this takes me, because we might squeeze in a couple of other things. This video is going to be a long one. It's going to be quite a long video. There's going to be a number of things on it. Well, to make the edits some fun, I'll definitely make a nice big coffee when I edit this one. I'm just going to let the camera carry on rolling, to be honest. And I might go my way rather than the way that the sat-nav takes me. Yeah. It's taking me straight ahead. I want to go on a little bit of a tangent here. I want to go down there. Down to the village of Aldermaston. Oh, the sun is so strong today, but I'm not going to complain, because you can guarantee that come next month, February, it's going to be gloomy. February is always that tedious month. Quite often. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it can be quite nice. So yeah, the AWE is over to my right. It's an interesting place. A mysterious place. And of course, around here, we're not far from Greenham Common. That's another one to go and do on a slightly warmer day. It'll be a bit colder up there. So I've no idea what this building here is. It looks interesting, but I've no idea what it is. Well, we're not really meant to know. Anyway, we're going to go down here, down towards the village of Aldermaston. So what you're getting today basically is a little bit of a tour of where we live. We're going back to Greenham. We're spreading salt. Maybe the snow's coming this evening. Back in the 1980s, it's the era of the CND and the peace protesters, the Greenham Common women who camped outside the gates of Greenham Common for a long time. And then famously they encircled the whole site. This is not Greenham Common here. Greenham's not far from here though. It's a different site. But at the time the US Air Force were based at Greenham Common. And in fact they have been for a long time. They've been there since World War II. They had an air base there for long before that. Let's turn up here. Lorry right on my bum. There's a church up here we might have a little look at. And I believe that they literally did circle the entire site. There was a lot of women, 30,000 women or something, I don't know. Probably got it completely wrong. It might be more, it might be less, but it certainly was a huge number. It was quite something. And of course, in the end, the US Air Force moved out of Greenham Common. There's something going up at the church today. And to be honest with you, the light on it is the wrong way round. The sun's right behind it, so I'd much rather do it later in the day when the sun's over there, get the better light. So I'm going to head on home and call it a day at this point. I think we've done enough for one video today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. So thank you for joining me today. Please like, subscribe, restack. This goes out on Substack, and it also gets shared on YouTube as well. So like and subscribe on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube. And there will soon be a Patreon as well. So thank you very much for your support, and bye for now.